Mergers and acquisitions are powerful strategies for companies aiming to grow, enter new markets, acquire new capabilities, or reduce costs. However, even when the deal makes sense strategically, many of these transactions don't deliver the expected value, mainly because the integration of the two companies doesn't go as planned. This risk, called integration risk, happens when the combined organizations struggle to align their operations, cultures, systems, and people effectively. To manage this, companies use an integration risk assessment, a structured method to identify, evaluate, and address potential issues before and during the integration process. This helps protect the deal's value by making sure that expected benefits like revenue growth, cost savings, and improved margins are achievable in reality, not just assumptions. Problems like losing key talent, customers leaving, operational disruptions, and delayed synergies can undermine these benefits. This presentation will guide you through what integration risk assessment involves, why it matters, how it works, and the pros and cons of applying it in real situations. Executives often underestimate how complex deal negotiations can be, so conducting a thorough integration risk assessment is crucial. It gives an early look at potential execution challenges, helps prioritize integration efforts based on facts, and clarifies the trade-offs between moving quickly and maintaining stability. This allows leaders to make necessary changes to the deal structure, price, or integration strategy before problems arise. Additionally, investors, lenders, regulators, and employees closely watch major transactions, so having a credible risk assessment signals strong governance, lowers uncertainty, and improves communication after the deal. This credibility can reduce financing costs and help stabilize stock performance during integration. When assessing risks, it's important to cover multiple areas, particularly strategic and value capture risks. These include misalignments between the deal's goals and integration priorities, overly optimistic synergy expectations, and conflicting long-term strategies. For example, if a company acquires innovation but then cuts costs aggressively, it could undermine the very capabilities that were the reason for the acquisition. Cultural and people risks pose significant challenges in mergers and acquisitions, often leading to failure when there's a mismatch in leadership styles, decision-making speeds, or performance incentives. When integration isn't managed well, top talent tends to leave within the first 6 to 12 months. Operational risks arise when processes don't align, accountability is unclear, or performance metrics conflict, which can disrupt daily operations, especially in supply chains, manufacturing, and customer service. Technology risks are commonly underestimated, with issues such as incompatible ERP or CRM systems, data quality problems, cybersecurity vulnerabilities, and costly delays often slowing down integration. These IT risks can become the critical path that sets the pace for the entire integration process. On the customer side, mergers can trigger negative reactions due to service interruptions, pricing changes, or confusion over the brand, which in business-to-business contexts can jeopardize key accounts and threaten the deal's financial success. Finally, regulatory and compliance risks remain an important consideration that must be managed carefully throughout the integration. Cross-border or regulated industry deals come with additional challenges like delays in approvals, conflicting compliance requirements, and greater scrutiny after closing. If these risks aren't managed well, they can stop or even reverse the integration process. To navigate this, start by clearly defining what parts of the business need to be integrated, whether that's systems, people, brands, or processes, and what should remain separate to meet regulatory rules or preserve value. It's also important to decide on the pace of integration, whether it should be fast or gradual. Next, identify risks by gathering input from management interviews, workshops across different functions, data room reviews, and drawing on experience from previous deals. Each department, such as HR, IT, finance, operations, and sales, will highlight risks relevant to their area. Finally, assess each risk based on its potential impact on finances, operations, or reputation, along with how likely it is to happen if no action is taken. This helps prioritize which risks need the most attention, often visualized through a risk heat map, so resources can be focused where they matter most. For the highest priority risks identified, it's essential to create clear mitigation strategies. These can include retention programs to keep critical talent, phased approaches to IT integration to avoid disruptions, well-planned customer communication to manage expectations, and dedicated structures to govern the integration process. Each action should have specific ownership and timelines assigned to ensure accountability. Importantly, risk assessment doesn't stop after the initial plan, it needs to be continuously embedded into integration governance. This means risks should be constantly tracked through integration management offices, regularly reviewed at the executive level, and updated as the integration moves forward to reflect changing realities. To understand why this ongoing focus is crucial, look at real-life examples like the Daimler-Chrysler merger in 1998. Despite logical strategic goals, the merger failed largely due to deep cultural clashes, conflicting management styles, and poor integration of decision-making, all amplified by inadequate cultural risk assessment. Similarly, the AOL-Time Warner merger in 2000 underestimated the significant differences between digital and traditional media cultures and overlooked operational integration risks, contributing to challenges in the deal's success. These cases show that thorough and dynamic risk management is vital to sustaining value throughout an integration. One of the biggest challenges in mergers and acquisitions is managing market volatility, and failing to plan for integration risks can lead to huge financial losses, as seen in some of the largest corporate write-downs. For example, in the 2006 Disney-Pixar acquisition, success came from identifying cultural risks early, respecting Pixar's creative independence, and choosing to integrate selectively instead of fully. This approach shows how being aware of integration risks can actually protect and create value. In another case, during the 2008 crisis-driven J.P. Morgan Chase acquisition of Bear Stearns, rapid risk identification, clear leadership, and focused efforts on technology and compliance helped reduce disruption and maintain financial stability. Overall, conducting a thorough integration risk assessment has several key advantages. It increases the chances of creating value by spotting and addressing issues before they arise. It helps allocate resources more effectively toward the most critical risks. It speeds up the integration process while maintaining control. It reduces risks related to retaining key talent, and it strengthens governance by clearly assigning accountability for integration outcomes. This risk-conscious approach helps ensure smoother, more successful mergers and acquisitions. Performing a thorough integration risk assessment does require significant time and resources, including input from senior management and sometimes outside experts. While this effort can slow down fast-moving deals and may lead to a false sense of security because risks can still change unexpectedly, skipping this step usually ends up costing more in the long run. There's also the challenge of limited information available before closing, which can affect the accuracy of the assessment. Despite these limitations, assessing integration risks is essential because it helps companies identify and prioritize potential issues that could jeopardize the value of the deal. Unlike financial due diligence, which focuses on what is being bought, integration risk assessment looks at whether the anticipated value can actually be achieved. When done systematically, it greatly improves the chances of a successful merger by addressing execution risks up front. Many failed deals don't fail because the strategy was wrong, but because execution risks were underestimated or overlooked. Ultimately, companies that succeed understand that integration is not just a task after the deal closes, but a critical strategic capability that transforms M&A from a risky bet into a process that creates real value for shareholders.